thinking you probably can't get a team like Iowa, but why not make them an aggressive offer? Iowa State's already in the conference. TCU starts to make sense. Pull them back from the Big East.
I'm feeling that, man. A little op-ed from Ed Cunningham. That pass complete to the tight end. Dominique Jones with another Longhorn first down. And you can almost feel Garrett Gilbert's confidence burgeoning at this point. A pickup of 14 yards. 1st and 10.
Well, it's certainly starting to feel in this second half like the guys are starting to get into the flow more of this Brian Harsin offense. Starting to feel a little more confident.
Fozzie Whitaker in the ball game, the deep back in the offset eye. Play fake. Gilbert going up top, has his man again, Davis, and that time overshot him. That had 6 written all over it. He got in behind Chris Jammer. They've used that 3 different times tonight, Ed.
Well, Davis, a guy who last year the Texas coaches thought he'd explode. He hurt his knee, missed the Oklahoma game, battled that the whole year. But he can run by some folks. But again, they're going to go into the film room, and it's good learning for a young quarterback. You've got a world-class athlete. Don't overthrow him. Just get and that ball was thrown a little flat too. You want to get a little more air on that to let the guy make an adjustment underneath of it.
2nd down and 10, a little bubble screen. This is Jackson Shipley getting to the edge. Stayed in bounds and got the first down. Nimble move and a great burst by Jackson Shipley.
Well, another hire on this staff was Darryl Wyatt, the new wide receiver coach. Spent a long time at Oklahoma, and they've been working their tails off blocking on the outside. Here's Deshaun Hales. Watch this cut block. Wonderful job. Got his guy to the ground, and he did a really, really smart thing. When you go for a cut block out in the middle of the field, if you don't get it, roll. Because at least you make the defender have to fight you off. That was great technique by Hales.
Got a whistle down in the field, and maybe they're going to send this to Terry Porter and our replay official booth and find out exactly where it was that Shipley stepped out of bounds. They're going to try and check the spot out.
And, just a moment while we have a little break here going back to Texas A&M leaving SEC. Obviously, Bill Byrne, the athletic director from A&M, publicly stating that a big reason they're leaving is because of the Longhorn Network. He thinks that it's an unfair advantage, both prestige and money-wise, with recruiting and everything like that. But, it's kind of the way I look at it, it's kind of be careful what you wish for.
Right.
You go from the Big 12, where, you may be upset about what Texas is doing, but all Texas is doing is growing their business and growing their brand. Makes a lot of sense. And when you look at Forbes magazine, and you say, which this is a rating based off of 4 or 5 different things, not just money. It's money back into the institution, Notre Dame, Texas, and then start looking at the SEC schools on here. Georgia, Florida, LSU, Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama. Texas A&M is 18th on this list. And you start to think, well, if you stayed in the Big 12 and you started to grow your brand, you're going to likely lose the Thanksgiving game with Texas. You may never play Texas again while you're in the SEC.
It'd be a shame if that rivalry ceased to exist. And take one more look at where Shipley stepped out of bounds.
He did look like he was maybe half a yard short of the first down there. But I look at Texas A&M, and I understand they're upset about the Longhorn Network, and they think it's an unfair advantage. But now they're going into a conference, and one of the reasons they're going is because the institutions can't do their own networks. Well, who says that's not going to change?
Right.
And you've got the Forbes list with all of those schools above you. You're going from a league where, if things go right, they can win the conference championship this year. I think they're good enough to do that. I don't think they're good enough to do that in the SEC with this team this year. So I think it was a reactionary move. They went from a skirmish to a full-out war, and I'm just not sure it's going to be better for them.
Things certainly escalating, especially on the financial side, and you certainly couldn't blame Texas for wanting to grow their business, as you put it. You looked at where they rank. They are the #2 brand in college football, right behind Notre Dame.
And guess who the other school is who has now it's a little different. This network is obviously dedicated to the University of Texas, and Notre Dame and NBC's deal is a little different. But there's the other school who has their own television deal with NBC. Yeah, the crowd just wants a decision here, and I don't blame them.
And plus, they're showing a Jordan Shipley on the big screen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But, you know, I just look at this thing economically, and I understand the Aggies were upset and about feeling like Texas was getting preferential treatment within the Big 12, but I think it's one of those old adages, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. You have a great working relationship with Texas. They'd actually discussed doing a network together some years ago, and A&M was not interested in that at the time. But I think there's opportunities in this conference to grow the business, start doing some things like the Pac-12 is doing. Maybe start doing a little regional, maybe do a North network, a South network, start growing some of that revenue for your member institutions.
One more look here. Shipley stepped out of bounds short of the first down.
Yep.
The yard short of the first down, so probably going to bring this one back and find out exactly where it was. This game is ground to a halt here suddenly.
They shouldn't take this long. I mean, that was a pretty clear. Well, what they may be trying to do is make sure they got time right and all that, but let's get an accurate guess and move on.
A lot of good news when you look at Texas athletics of late. The World Championships of track and field over in Daegu, South Korea right now. Trey Hardy, the world champion in the decathlon, a resident of Austin here, and saw a shot of Aaron Ross, former DB for Mack Brown several years ago. His wife and faster, better half, Sonia Richards-Ross, member of the 4x400 gold medal winning relay team yesterday for Team USA, world-renowned 400-meter runner.
And they are trying to figure out what the clock situation is. And of course,
slipped out of bounds right there at the 46.
Call it 8:09 or 8:10. But of course, Marquise Goodwin, who would have been a receiver on this year's team for Texas, preparing, trying to make the U.S. team for the London Olympics in 2012.
After further review, the runner stepped out at the 44.5-yard line. It's third down. Please reset the game clock to 8:10. 8:10.
Well, you heard the reset. They go back to 8:10, and it's interesting. You look at Mack Brown, some of the other coaches, what they think. ESPN the magazine doing an interesting poll of college football questions and getting some interesting, intriguing answers. We'll let you know about that in just a few moments. Let you speculate and guess about who they thought was the best player in college football. I'll tell you who I like that Robert Griffin III guy last night.
He looked okay, didn't he?
Brown on the carry and gets the first down.
That's a good run for a freshman.
Yeah, broke a tackle, cutting it inside to pick up 3. And
you don't see this much with young running backs. Watch the patience and the cut. You know, so many guys in high school can just outrun and outpower anybody, but this is nice. Watch as he gets the outside, cuts back underneath, and knows exactly where he needs to get to. That looks like a third, fourth-year player, not a true freshman. Boy, those are nice instincts.
Had some good ones come through the doors here in Austin. 1st and 10. And off again, and this is Brown. And this is why the crowd holds its collective breath when he touches the ball. He's got the it factor. Callahan finally making the tackle. And a 20-yard gain.
You know what he is? He's slippery. He's a big guy, 220 pounds. But watch when he gets around the line of scrimmage, how he's just constantly shifting his shoulders and moving. And boy, he really sees. He sees very well. He's got excellent vision. That's something that Major Applewhite and I were visiting a little bit yesterday, and they're excited about this young man. You're starting to see why.
10th play of the drive coming up. Approaching 7 minutes to go. Brown again into the boundary. Got about a yard. It'll be 2nd down and 9. Wasu making the stop on the play. And back to that ESPN the magazine. Top choices who will win the BCS. They say Alabama. Andrew Luck, best player, best coach. Gary Patterson, 35 bowls. About right. Should players be paid? Yes, the answer. What do you think? What number out there the most jumps off the page at you? What do you find most surprising?
53% I thought would be higher for they should be paid. Really? I know most coaches get frustrated that they're and paid doesn't mean $100,000, $200,000. It means, you know, a couple $100 a month in their pocket. Every coach I've ever talked to supports that.
Pass complete. Of course, there's been a lot of talk about players getting an additional stipend and making it comparable and appropriate to the time they put in. It's a complex argument. I'm not sure exactly how you implement something like that.
2 men moving and did not reset. 5-yard penalty.
3 times tonight?
3. Yeah, that's a trifecta. You know, if you're Mack Brown, though, I think you'll take those. First game, an entirely new complex offense, an entirely new complex defense. Yeah, they had fits and starts in the first half, and maybe it won't be quite the score that they expected, but Rice is a much better ball club than people know. And frankly, in the second half, I think they've made some nice strides.
On 2nd and 14, Gilbert. The screen, boy, great catch underneath by Whitaker, and he's got a little room. Fozzie, touchdown.
All right, you're going to run a screen. You need some big guys out front. David Snow, the left guard, sneaks out. Watch this cut block. Right on the leg. I know that looks bad, but completely legal on Josh Skinner. Landed a little awkward on that leg, but good job by Snow getting out there and getting Skinner down. If he's not able to cut him, that's a gain of maybe a yard or 2, not a touchdown.
Fozzie Whitaker, you saw it with his first career touchdown catch. A young man whose alter ego is Captain America. Looked like a superhero on that run. Even got the shield.
Are you going to sing it?
Next week. We'll be back for that BYU game. That's what we call a tease in the business, and that's a heck of a run. Well, those upside down frowns. Now smiles, of course. Texas leading 34-9 as the offense has ignited here in the second half.
Well, that'll work. That will work. Again, you know, it's hard sometimes you go all through spring. And, you know, it was funny, Mack Brown, we were asking the coaches, especially with the offense, how did you get that much in? And Mack said, you know, I was a little concerned when I knew how much stuff Brian Harsin wanted to put in. He said, but he just does it in such a methodical way, and the guys just get it quickly. They're able to do that stuff, and I think the package will start to expand a little bit, but we started to see a taste of that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Jackson Shipley, Wildcat. Fozzie Whitaker, Wildcat. Mike Davis, dynamic, deep threat.
Yard deep. Ross will take it at the 20-yard line. Rice, meanwhile, picked to finish 4th in Conference USA. And look at the breakdown of their Texas contingent. 85 players from the state.
And David Bailiff, when we were talking to him the other day, you know, Rice is kind of like a Stanford. It's an internationally known academic institution, so they could recruit a bigger base. And this state, the state of Texas, produces on average 400 to 500 FBS level college football players. And in Houston alone, it's well over 100 every year. And he said, you know, we're going to go after the guys who get offered by Kentucky or some of the smaller SEC schools and say, why don't you just stay home and play here? And they've made it work.
Right out of bounds, gain of about 4 yards by Tyler Smith. Interesting that you talk about it being a world-renowned institution. There's a team with a pretty good collective GPA. They've got 11 engineering majors. Spent a lot of time figuring out how to split atoms there.
Yeah, well, we talked about Travis Bradshaw. Unfortunately, the senior safety had to shut his football career down because he actually broke his neck. He is not paralyzed, but he did break his neck in camp. And here's a young man who's going to have a chemical engineering degree at the end of this year, already starting to look for what's going to be next in his life. So
that pass complete.
And, you know, David Bailiff said,
first down.
Oh, sorry, Mark. He made a really interesting point. He said, you know, in most schools you recruit a kid who's worried, who's making a decision for the next 5 years of his life. We have to recruit young men who are making a decision for the next 50 years of their life. And you talked about those satellite camps that they do all over Texas, and I'd never heard anyone doing that. And for a school like Rice, what a smart way to spend some money to go out and get some